Welcome back to the Blue Hour. You know already what it is. I don't know what, but one beer on this guy. All right, ready? Welcome to the
Oh,
Blue Hour. We're
we're
back.
keeping that other part. We're keeping that other part. I don't care what you say.
All right, whatever. Yeah, we should have a fun episode this week. We'll talk about some new enhancements at ChatGPT, what other people are learning, and people sleeping on the stuff that we talk about every week when we get on here. Um, I want to kick it off first with it's called Chat GPT or GPT-4V, which stands for Vision. You and I both got access to this today with the ChatGPT Plus
Yeah.
subscription, but it allows people to put an image into ChatGPT and then prompt and ask questions about the image, which is a game changer.
Yeah, it's
Um,
pretty amazing.
yeah, did you get a chance to use it today yet?
I saw your use case. He had put a screenshot in. I thought that was really interesting. Actually, it's interesting because you took a screenshot of a spreadsheet, and I've been using it with spreadsheets excessively for all of my jobs. I love
Yeah.
it so much. But this is something that I was really hoping to have access on my phone through. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking on my phone
Yeah.
because I was thinking that, yeah, I wrote custom instructions. I don't have it on my phone, which is a little frustrating.
I
Because
don't
what I'd
think
really like,
I don't even think you can enable it. I think when you start a new chat, it just shows up as long as it's default.
yeah, but I can't add in a photo here. It just allows me to put in the
Interesting.
voice. Yeah, it's interesting.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's too bad because what I'd like to do is I have this old router that a buddy had given me, and he's like a gamer. So what I think I should be able to do is use that router. It's a little old, but I've been waiting to get this feature on my phone so I could take a photo of the router and ask ChatGPT about it. And that's like the
Yeah,
biggest thing I've been waiting to do with it. It's like
that's
use
great.
it. There's so many things where like I'm the IT guy in the family. There's so many things where I like sit and read instruction manuals and like things like that because it's obviously not rocket science to figure out how to put these things together or like set up something. It just takes time and
Yeah,
patience, and like I love that stuff. Been doing it with my grandma forever, and all my family, and all like people make fun of me constantly. Even some of the partners where I work, they make fun of me, like, oh yeah, the data guy. Give him the. They don't know what I'm using. I don't even know I'm using code interpreter for it. But yeah, it's great. So I'm really looking. That's one of the big things I've been looking forward to is like the ability to scan things or take photos of things and ask it how to do something. And the same thing it did for the bicycles, but we
yeah,
just know enough about bicycles. We don't need to do that.
yeah,
But
exactly. I'm excited. There's a when I walk up the stairs of my house, I can see under the front door, there's like a little light. Like there's going to be a breeze or like a drift. I want to be able to
yeah,
take a photo of that and be like, what are all the ways that I can stop this with my front door so
cool
that
idea.
a bunch of cold air doesn't come in the wintertime? It's a wild thing that I hadn't even really been thinking about as far as like AI is pretty awesome as is. I wasn't like worried that it didn't have eyes, but now this is like the first step towards an AI that like I just took a screenshot of a spreadsheet and uploaded it and I said, can you do some data analysis and break down what's happening here? And it'll do it. It does a really good job of combing over the photo, describing what's in there, and then taking what's in there and using the reasoning engine that's pretty fucking amazing and giving
Yeah,
you feedback or things you can do. And I think for me, that opens up like a wide world of like I can take a picture of a plant in our house and be like, hey, how can I best take care of this so that I don't kill it? Because I kill every single
right.
plant.
Yeah,
And
man. That's like I said
use
that to somebody I'm very close with who really struggles with that.
yeah, yeah, it's an amazing, I mean, just simple things like that, that the information is normal. There's a few steps of friction that it takes to get that information that you have to work for. And that friction's almost gone. Like
Yeah,
literally a picture sent to your computer and then typing in a few words and you get all you have to do is read. It's all right there. I'm
yeah,
excited for that. Uh, I think there's parts of cars you could take a photo of and be like, hey, what's happening in this part of the car and
yeah,
how can I fix it? Just one of those things that like, working on cars seems you have to go read an old book to figure out or like
yeah.
sift through YouTube channels and shit like that. Like now that
Uh-huh.
you have access to doing stuff like that, anything you want to fix, it's very exciting for, I think.
Definitely, yeah. There are two that I think of. Like my car has a leak, consistent leak for the automatic steering fluid, and so I like constantly refilling it after drives. And it took me a long time to figure out what that was, and that shouldn't be leakable. It should be a closed loop. And I had to watch so many disparate, shitty YouTube videos, and then also read the manual, which I have, like things like that. And then also on my motorcycle, I had to replace the battery not long ago, and that was a little bit of like I was moved out of my apartment and I was like ready to go on like a 3 hour ride and I was like shit out of luck, like completely had no idea what I was doing. I'd never replaced a motorcycle battery before. It would have been, and then I got back with the battery and I had to then like figure out which connection goes to which side without really knowing because I didn't wire the bike to begin with and the guy who didn't color code. And so it would have been so much easier and much less stressful and scary
Yeah,
to just like figure it out that way. Oh my gosh, would have been great.
I know. It's cool, man. I'm excited. I think I'm looking to buy a car here in the next few months, and it'll be fun to like take a picture of a car or even copy it off the internet and be like, "Hey, can you search the internet and tell me whether or not I should pay this much for this car?" Like I
That's
could
a good idea.
hypothetically do that with a good link. Um,
Yeah.
but things like that, I think people don't realize yet the impact that AI will have on their life, and that is one that's slowly creeping up, and it's going to be kind of a game changer, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah. I think it's as cool as the Whisper tech that they had bought, which is like you talking to it, which is everyone knows if you've listened how much I love that. Um, I really, really like that. And so I think this is just as cool, but different. It's a completely different use case, but just as
Yeah,
powerful. It's amazing. The like there's so much awesome stuff being shipped by the team at OpenAI. It's amazing.
yeah, that's wild, man.
Seriously. So
Yeah,
cool.
on to the next. Soon it'll be video. I mean, you'll be able to put video in there one day, or even live stream video to ChatGPT and have it give you, whatever, which is wild.
Yeah,
Yeah,
seriously. It's crazy.
yeah, the past few weeks for AI have been big, or at least for OpenAI. They've got some cool
Yeah.
stuff.
There was a talk at the All In conference. They did it like a month ago, and they had some guy come on for 10 minutes to talk about creative applications of AI. It's not OpenAI specifically, but using prompting to create movies. And he had
Yeah,
created like a Harry Potter based on high fashion or something, and everyone's like super gaunt and like really, really narrow faces, and like it was really, really crazy looking.
yeah,
Um, Things like that. It was really, really interesting. And apparently, I think we had spoken about this like months and months and months ago, but the ability, like if we have kids someday or you have somebody you're trying to explain something to or something like that, you can tailor a story to them. You can like tell a classic fable, but customize it for this person. And like that
yeah,
obviously is fun. And that's like what makes somebody cool and creative, right? So you want to be able to do that yourself, but also maybe you don't have the time, maybe there's this or that. This allows you to also scale that. You can do it every single day. I think that it's
yeah.
pretty incredible that you can have like customized multimedia in the not so distant future as well. It's pretty cool.
It's wild. Also, there's been talk over the last like week and a half that OpenAI is working with, I think, Jony Ives, who's one of the like legendary designers of the iPhone and at Apple. And I think Steve Jobs used to pay him like $32 million a year because he was like, there's not another guy or designer like this. But
Wow.
for kind of a physical AI that you could have on you, almost similar. I think we've talked about Her, the movie, but you haven't seen. But it's basically Joaquin Phoenix with like a personal AI assistant that's phone size that he keeps in his pocket at all times and
Wow.
like interacts with. But it seems like there's at least talks to build some sort of tool and potentially with the creator of the iPhone, one of the most like prolific products of our time, to
Yeah.
create some sort of AI product, which would be wild.
Would it replace a phone, do you think? Is that sort of like the assumption?
I don't think so. I think it would be more. I mean, I don't think you would get calls and texts on it, but I think it'd be a way to, I don't know what you'd need it for, honestly. Like
If it
the things
replaced
that
the
we just
phone,
talked
like
about.
yeah. I think that there's a lot of there I think that there's something behind if they replace the phone, they can make the experience a lot better because this is like a medium for apps. Like it's just like it's pretty much like an interface for apps, right? So like I've got all
Yeah,
these different apps. They don't really interact with one another. They're all separate and siloed. Like if I want to play Spotify music, but I'm in Google Maps, like I can't. and even with Siri, you can't really do that
Yeah.
like effectively and easily. But if we had everything that was sort of like completely and totally, if they just made it all on one large language model, if it was all interactive with one another, that would be so much more useful. I would pay an arm. I would get rid of this today
Yeah.
if they had that as an option. A
I mean,
hundred
do you
percent.
really need phone lines and phone towers anymore for phone calls? It's like if you can connect to the internet, can you not
Yeah.
communicate with everybody you normally would? Which I
Yeah.
feel like phones are probably designed with a lot of like just making sure that they work as phones. And they've
Yeah.
slowly become more and more like computers. But maybe this would be more like a computer or communication of, yeah, that'd be wild if we saw the phones start to die off.
So cool, yeah. Also, I
Yeah.
just read today, I didn't really read into it, but there was something about Elon saying that Starlink is going to now be also a cellular network. And so there's going to be the ability for people to like connect to Starlink satellites on their phone and never, ever, ever go without being connected. So you will have
Interesting.
connection everywhere. It's going to save lives, is what he was really presenting it as. But for me, I think about
Yeah.
like being on a boat or being in the middle of fucking nowhere, which is a place that oftentimes we don't have our phones on us when we go in places like that. But like the
Yeah.
ability, if you get hurt somewhere, like my a couple of years ago, I was on a surf trip, a pretty remote area, and it was like two planes to get there. And you took a boat for 30 minutes to get to the island where we were staying for a couple of weeks. And my brother got hurt. A fin on the bottom of a surfboard hit him in the shin really hard, and it was bad. And he needed some stitches, and none of us have sutures or know really how to do that. And so it was like 10 o'clock at night. We had just eaten dinner. We were having some beers, which is probably pretty silly. And we're like, we got to go to the hospital. And so but we couldn't call them. And so we had to like take a boat there, and then like showed up, and like our Spanish is okay, but not great. And he forgot his ID and all this stuff. So like if we didn't have access to, there was no cellular service where we were, and like it's kind of a thing about it. So it would have been nice to be able to call somebody and be like, is this really actually, do we need to do that? And, or even just video time, FaceTime with them. We have a buddy
Yeah.
who's a surgeon who could have helped. But yeah, I don't know. It's like the ability to have connectivity when you need it could be really, really helpful. Even in the Peace Corps, where the village where I lived, there was no service at all, and so I'd have to walk quite a ways to like watching the phone, and then I eventually figured out where I could get service, and that way I could make phone calls every once in a
Yeah.
while. But have the ability to have it there, that's like that changes, that saves lives. Like I was sick
Yeah.
with malaria as like a Mizungo, as like a white guy, so it didn't really matter. People get really sick with other things, and like, it's much more important. But like at that time, I had to call the Peace Corps medical office. I couldn't, like, I couldn't walk to that tree because I was so not feeling well. Um, and so it's just yeah, I think that would be really, really interesting if that actually comes to fruition.
Yeah. Be fun, man. We'll see. Dude, Starlink is a crazy
So cool.
idea. A bunch of
It's amazing.
satellites out there. You could get internet anywhere.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh. I'm a
yeah.
huge believer, dude. Our mutual friend, T Money, he got it for his pops on his houseboat, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. The quality's incredibly strong. There's a moment where the satellite, because what the antenna does is it follows the satellite through the air, and then it scans back, and then it starts again. And there's like
Yeah.
a moment where there's like a little bit less service, but he said that it's consistently very solid megabytes of the ability to have video calls. And even with it doing that thing, he's able to continue on video calls for work from the Starlink connection. So
Wow.
pretty cool. Yeah.
That's great, man.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
I mean, somebody was talking to me about Elon the other day, and they were like, he's gonna mess up Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it now. But I was like, the way this dude runs companies and products is clean. He's
It's
got good
amazing.
ideas. Yeah. So I wouldn't sleep on X yet.
Dude, I mean, what is there to dislike? It's a cesspool to begin with. Like, it's not like he made it a cesspool. It just is a cesspool. Like all these apps. Like I find myself on Instagram. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like I get it.
Yeah.
It just like makes me
Oh,
so
it's
insecure. And also, it's
yeah.
just like a serious waste of time. I just watch waves like 45 minutes sitting on the toilet. It's such a waste of time.
Yeah, right. Well, it
Yeah,
is like I say that I have access to like some of the greatest minds in AI because there's a whole AI side of Twitter where you can
yeah,
actually pick up good conversations and see stuff and hop in
that's
people's
true.
comments or direct message them, which is something that you never would have imagined being able to do pre-Twitter. Just like freaking, oh, something I write could get seen by the CEO of OpenAI or something like that is crazy.
Yeah, I know it
Yeah.
is. I love that democratization of like it. it also is. There are some things I've seen recently. He seems to be a very. It doesn't have to be. We don't have to make this about Elon. I don't mean to make it about Elon, but it's so funny how controversial he is, and it seems as though the most controversial thing about him is like his freedom maximalism, which is like the kind of the most patriotic and like American thing you could possibly do. So it's like so weird to me that people hate him, and it's like, what a meme. Why would you? Why? Like he's certainly a
Yeah,
troll, but like he's a freedom maximalist, and he wants for everybody to be able to voice their own opinions, which I think is a good thing. Like, I understand that not everybody likes everybody else's opinion, and that's fine. You don't have to listen,
yeah,
but ultimately they should be able to say it. I don't think that's an issue.
yeah,
Um, but apparently that's radical.
yeah. I don't know, man. We'll
Yeah,
see how it goes.
sorry.
I'm excited to see how the platform goes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Yeah, should we talk about the other thing?
yeah. Hit me.
Hit me. We got a very, very close friend of mine reached out and he was saying, he asked me, we had like a few days last or 2 weeks ago, we were able to hang out a lot, which was amazing and very unexpected. He doesn't live in town anymore. And we were talking a lot about some stuff like what Eric's built and how I've been helping out and stuff like that, and how exciting it is. And then also how useful these tools are for me and how I use them. I've mentioned this many times. I use it for work and in distilling data. I get a lot of disparate retailers sending me spreadsheets that have very little information in them, but they reference other spreadsheets that are just like not there. They don't give them both to you at the same time. It's almost like they want it to be difficult. But I'm able to then input them both into ChatGPT, and I've now gotten it to the point where I copy and paste pretty much the same prompt every single time because it's so detailed. It explains what it is that I want for it to do. So it combines them. It then checks for duplicates. It makes sure that the store number is assigned, and then I want to have columns that include the city and the zip code, so we can do geo marketing and things like that. And it's astounding how I like. It's easy to take it for granted. It's very easy to take it for granted. So
Yeah.
he had asked me. I woke up to a text from him this morning saying, "Oh, what?" Or maybe it was last night. What language models do you use? Like, which tools do you use? And I was like, honestly, I really just mess around with ChatGPT Plus because it allows me to use this thing code interpreter. I don't think they call it that anymore. But do you know what it's now
Advanced
called?
data, I think it's advanced data analysis.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what it effectively is doing is writing things in the back end with Python and like just murdering the game with Python. It's so cool. But it's so cool. So I was like sort of explaining it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well I'm not really, I've been using ChatGPT 3," and I was like, well, I think it's 3.5, but like even with that, you can't use code interpreter, and you can't use any of the beta features, and the latency. Like, you can get slower responses. Also, the model's not as strong as the fourth, yada yada. And I was just like trying to explain it. And I was like, you know what? I'll just send him some of my chats because they came out with that shareable feature. So I shared with him one where I'd done data analytics. I shared with him one where I was using Bing, the plugin, so that I could access the internet. I shared with him a whole bunch of them. Some creative ones, like getting things written in other people's voices. I think I'd used the example of Carl Sagan last week. But I sent him those three examples, and then I had a call, and then I came back to him and to the text thread. And in that 30-minute window, he had signed up for ChatGPT Plus and had already like gone in really deep on the app. And he's like, "I love that I can talk to it and change its voice." I was like, "Yeah, dude, it's amazing. I'm so glad you
Yeah.
checked it out." Yeah, so we have a new converted ChatGPT Plus user this
Good.
morning that's 100% attributed to me.
There you go, dude. That's crazy though. Like, I think actually seeing most people just aren't experiencing what they can do with it in their day-to-day lives.
Yeah,
It's it's like the 99% of people probably didn't really dig into ChatGPT that hard. And meanwhile, everybody else is just like the few amount of people who actually care and are, tinkering around with it or doing things that they'd never be able to do, like build an app that
yeah.
gets a shit ton of users, um, or
There are
do
these things,
advanced
man.
data analysis. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, it makes me look like a data analyst, and my team literally thinks that I'm a data analyst. I technically am one, I guess now, because I'm able to pull these reports and do all this crazy reporting. But like,
Yeah.
they have no idea how I'm doing it. They've never asked. And it doesn't really. I don't think they'd be
Yeah.
upset with me. I know that they wouldn't. Who cares? The
Yeah.
output's amazing. Like we're able to glean insights in a fraction of the amount of time that we might have to, and also cost that we'd have to pay somebody.
Yeah.
Um, which is amazing. I can't believe how much of it makes me look like a stud. It's crazy. Um, it's really, really
That
fun.
should be
But
a
also,
tagline for them.
yeah, I've actually been saying that a
ChatGPT
lot.
looks like a stud. Yeah.
Makes me a stud. Um, but the what the fuck was I gonna say? Yeah, I just do think that it's like a little bit theoretical, and it's hard to imagine like the use cases until you get your hands dirty a little bit. And even then, it's like I'm not getting the outputs I want, and that's where Prompt Perfect comes in because you don't have to have a good understanding of what prompt engineering is. You can just
Yeah,
plug in whatever it is that you know whatever it is you're thinking, when then let the plugin itself optimize that for you, which is pretty cool.
yeah, it is cool. So simple. It's
Yeah,
like, I was at the prompt engineering conference was today, and I said I wasn't going to talk about it because it was like 5 hours. But one thing is like, there's all these tools, like people are building all these very advanced tools for people to do crazy stuff, and like that's I think some people who are in the industry would like look at a prompt perfect as like that's so basic. Like, why would I use that? I use ChatGPT all day, and I'm great. But like, you know, it's built for people like this guy, like
yeah,
people
exactly.
who, yeah, who are either used it, didn't find it that powerful, and then are coming back and exploring. And it's like shepherding, I think there's so much value in people actually getting good outputs from ChatGPT because it's easy. It's just an extra little step. And all you have to do is like learn a little bit and play around with it and like figure out it's a different way of communicating, really,
Yeah,
than
yeah.
searching Google or something like that.
Exactly, yeah. Which is like something that we're so familiar with and have been familiar with, but I think a lot of people are used to and continue to do. But I do think that there's this massive efficiency gain that's it's a very different tool, and so you won't use it for all the same applications. But like I find myself defaulting to using ChatGPT for a lot of things that I wouldn't have in the past. And I don't, and I
Yeah.
think that still there's this massive, massive misunderstanding from folks who think that it's really just this like it's an omniscient oracle that's like you can just
Yeah.
query it whatever you want and it's going to give you an answer, which is really not the we say it a lot, it's a reasoning engine, and to use it
Yeah.
as such I think is the most powerful way, obviously. But like little things like the ability to understand what like a SaaS leader or a SaaS VC like David Sachs is an example of one who like writes a lot about SaaS and the metrics that he looks for and things like that. I oftentimes am double checking my own work with understanding the books for Prompt Perfect and trying to get his feedback without actually speaking to him, right? So like the ability to have conversations with people like that, not technically like literally having conversations with him, but I'm asking it to query the web for his sorts of understanding and what it is that he prioritizes and looking at organizations that he's potentially going to invest in or that he's been a part of. And then it's providing me with that. And then I can query it based on the information that's given me. Like, why is that important to him? What is it that's missing here? Why does, is it better to have that liability as you spend it, or is it better to have, when you recognize that revenue, like how, I don't know, there are a lot of different things with SaaS businesses that he knows a lot about, I don't know so much about, and this allows me a bridge between those two knowledge sets.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
For real.
Pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
That's awesome, man. Love it.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, I don't know about you, but it's breezy outside and I got this thing on and I feel like the only thing that'd make me a little bit more comfortable is the possibility of maybe just a hot take.
Oh my
Dude,
gosh. Yes. What do you have? Tell me,
uh,
tell me, tell me.
my hot take, I already talked to you about this, but I've been getting into watching sports based solely on the fact that there's actually an episode. I was watching this documentary called Wrexham FC, which is on Hulu. It's about two celebrities buying like a football club or soccer club in England.
Oh yeah.
And they did a whole episode that's basically a documentary on how guys and men use sports as like a way to communicate with other men and be friends. And I was like, that actually makes sense to me. And I've been liking watching soccer. So I've been watching more sports and it's been fun. There's the MLB playoffs. I was a Braves fan growing up. I didn't watch them for like 14 years, 15 years, and now I'm back,
Yeah.
baby.
That's amazing. Yeah. I
I'm
just
over
was
here
talking to
watching
somebody
the
about that.
TV and being like, what the hell?
Yeah, crazy. That's an out. What the hell? Try goes to the runner, man.
You call that
Um,
a strike?
yeah, I miss baseball. I was just talking about that with somebody else. But yeah, I like that take that it's like a time where men get to talk to each other. It's kind of funny and
Yeah,
weird.
it
Um,
is weird.
honestly, it's still a red flag for me. People are like, what are you doing? Like, oh, what are you doing Sunday? It's like, watching football, obviously. It's like, okay, sorry. That to me
Yeah.
is still like kind of a meme. I don't know if I'll ever get over
I'm
that
not
one.
going to be that guy. I'm not going to be that guy. I'll be chilling.
Yeah, that seems like a massive waste of time. Hot take. Oh, yeah, pool billiards is fun. Pool's fun. Pool's always
Hmm.
fun. Pool's like a universal language in a lot of places. It's like chess in that way, or smiling or laughter. Like you can do it in any language. Pool is very fun. I really like playing pool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
played pool last night with a very good friend of mine, and so fun, dude. It's there's nothing more satisfying than hitting like back to back to back good shots and like or
Yeah.
winning without letting anybody else get a turn. There's something about pool that's just so fun, man. Gosh, love pool. So that's
Yeah,
my hot
I
take.
dig it too.
Yeah.
Nice, dude. Love it.
Awesome. All right, cool. Another week down, and shout out to Josiah Soren. And we will be back next week with all the newest and greatest, latest and greatest.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds good, man. See
All
y'all
right,
then.
sweet. Yeah, well done. Ciao.